What's up, guys? Sub-Zero here, back for another VOD review. This is my first VOD review of set 9.5 actually live, and of course, we're VOD reviewing Dish Soap, who is like rank 1 slash rank 2 right now. I'm gonna call him rank 1 for the video, because, ranks are in flux. He's probably gonna be rank 1 by, like the end of the day, the end of the week, or something like that. What I really want to talk about in this video is that flex play exists in TFT in the current patch, because I know a lot of people, if you haven't kept up with the patch, Bilgewater is giga broken. I thought about today doing a VOD of just one of my games of giga high roll Bilgewater, but then I said, you know what, that doesn't actually really make sense to do. Like a lot of people already know that Bilgewater is broken. Am I really going to show this VOD where I just natural everything and hit the most broken Bilgewater game of all time? I mean, let me know if you guys would like to see that, but I would like to put out a much more educational VOD for you guys, which I was watching Dish Soap stream. He played this game on stream just earlier today, and it was just a really nicely played game of TFT. Of course, you can see that he's playing the Bilgewater opener, but he makes some really cool decisions this game that I think a lot of players, myself possibly included, would not have made. And it just goes to show that, like, on patches like this where there's something giga broken, I think most people tend to just sort of like turn their brain off. Speaking of turn their brain off, Portable Forge is so good. You can take it all the time. Mana Zane and Anima Visage are both pretty strong, but Mana Zane is a really nice pickup here. And then he's just going to choose to itemize Guardbreaker because there's really nothing else you can slam in this spot, and Guardbreaker's a pretty good slam. So yeah, like, I think a lot of people, when they see a patch like this with Bilgewater as broken as it is, I mean, look, he's looking at Casper's board. Somehow he naturaled. He had gold opener plus MF plus Nautilus, which is just absolutely disgusting. But when people see a patch like this, I think a lot of people's first, their first idea, there's definitely a word I'm thinking of here. Their first instinct maybe is to just say, okay, I'm gonna turn my brain off and I'm gonna play really bad TFT because the patch is not that good, right? You know, I'm just gonna chill. I'm gonna force Bilgewater. I'm only gonna play the Bilgewater units. I'm only gonna roll down for a small subset of units. And you know, if I don't hit, then I'll just play Mortdog and GG's. I don't think that's the best way to play TFT in general. That's not the way that Dish Soap plays TFT. That's not the way the best people play TFT. And you can see in a game like this where, even though the patch is imbalanced, like you'll see further into the VOD, there's just some really interesting decisions that come out of Dish Soap that I think are just really cool and just show the skill expression that exists on a patch like this. It reminds me of one of the first patches of 9.0. It was the patch where everyone was hard forcing, what was it? It was Kaisi Yasuo and Azir Lux, maybe? I think those were the two comps. And I was playing that comp. I was hard forcing Azir, literally only rolling down for Azir, taking Vladimir open forward into Azir. And I said, okay, I'm actually having trouble climbing. I watched a few of Dish Soap's games and I went, wait a minute. This guy, like, obviously he's still angling for those comps. Obviously you still angle for the strong comps, but how you get there and how you play around what you hit when you miss is the most important thing, I would say, in TFT. Looks like he wanted to go for Gunblade there, but then has to end up taking the Chain Vest, which I think makes a lot of sense. Gunblade's a solid slam, and, you know, we can't get it. So now we just level for the Kassadin, make 30. But I mean, you look like this, he's playing a Bilgewater opener because it's the strongest opener. Like, if you were listening to his stream, he was like, these units are trash. Just when he was, you know, like looking at like Gallia and all those other units. Like, Bilgewater is the strongest trait in the game in the opener and at the end of the game. So obviously you should play around Bilgewater any chance you get. He hits a TF, he's playing around TF, slams the Mana Zane on it, and I mean, just look at the damage that's being output from this TF and then from Bilgewater as well. And he hits TF2 here, which is really nice. He's been gifted a strong opener. So in all ways, basically, this opener is going great. We've hit pretty decent items, a very good early board. We're probably not going to play like TF Reroll or anything like this. Oh, I didn't even see this because I wasn't like super clued into the game, but this is a beautiful positioning swap, by the way. Declumps his board and then spreads out to try to have some units bait out the rogues. Because if you clump everything on the left side, then all the rogues are going to go dash back to them and then ult. This is something that I need to do better, is just like in these early stages position around this kind of stuff, because, like, you know, you can definitely get wrecked here if you just position, you know, default, leave the TF on the left side there, and then like Katarina and Kiana dash to your backline and get a ton of AoE value. So that's really nice, just clean play from Dish Soap, as you would expect. Gets dropped to Vel'Koz here, gets dropped to Karma as well. Is just not interested in the Karma as like at all. Items wise, okay, like I said, I watched this game on a stream, but I had it in the background, so I don't actually recall what he made in a spot like this. I mean, I see something like Gargoyle Sunfire seems fine. You could also go for Nashor's Tooth. If you go for Nashor's Tooth, Like, if you go Gargoyle Sunfire, then you're stuck with GS, which seems fine to me. Nashor's Tooth, and then you can just use this for a tank item. Okay, so he's just going for Giga BIS. I think that makes sense. Prefers the Nashor's Tooth to get some kind of attack speed item for what is ideally going to be a Zero later. And he also adds the Strakateric to the board, right? Okay, so yeah, items here. I think it's really interesting what he ends up taking here. Because I think Roll the Dice is solid. I think Latent Forge is solid. But yeah, he actually rolls Roll the Dice immediately. And I believe ends up taking Impenetrable Bulwark here, which is really cool. Yeah. I think it makes sense, though. Like, you actually don't... You have all of your damage items finished. Well, not all of them, but a lot of your damage items finished. You really just need more tank items here. I wonder what the stats say on this Augment now. And now he's going to make Sunfire, but then Remover so that he can put, triple tank item here. He also naturals the Azir, which is really, really nice for the, the comp that we want to play this game, which is Azir Silco, of course. That is the ideal in this spot. I was just thinking in my head, was it ever level here? But no, I don't think so. Maybe, like, next round, though. He's a Mordekaiser as well, so... The only downside is he doesn't have amazing items for Mordekaiser. I mean, he has this Nashor's, so it could be like Nashor's Mordekaiser and then move stuff. But yeah, it's definitely something that you should keep in mind. I played a game yesterday. It was a really cool game. I think maybe I'll tuber that one, where I was thinking of playing Azir Lux, or not Azir Lux. I wish it was Azir Lux. Azir Silco, and then I end up naturally a Mordekaiser. And we end up just sort of like pivoting into a Slayer's board, and it works out like really, really well. But it was like, I was so dizzy. But yeah, as you can see, 100 streaked here, great opener. At this point, we're just looking to finish out our sword item, which can be Gunblade usually for Silco. Could be like a Shojin as well. He does have the opportunity to potentially pick up this Azir here, which is kind of crazy, but it gets sniped. No, wait, he does actually get it. He just barely gets the Azir. So we have Azir pair now. We can go 7 here. We got 50 gold to roll, so we're going to roll here. Finds a Vel'Koz 2. Continuing to roll here. There's a Sona in shop that you could like maybe think about playing. And yeah, so he gets to this 4 multicaster board, which, like, first of all, how many people would actually like play? Like, raise your hand if you would have actually played this 4 multicaster board. Like, if you're raising your hand, you're a liar. Like, I feel like there's so many people who would actually, like, especially with 2 Azirs in shop or 2 Azirs on bench, say, okay, I'm gonna play around 4 multicaster because it's actually strongest right now. I think so many people would just skip the step of playing strongest board and would move over into the Azir comp. Other really interesting thing, okay, so he picks up the Bilgewater, which is pretty normal, finds a Heimerdinger here, but he's also holding on to these Shens, and he hits Taric to Shen 2. This is really crucial as well, because this is another thing that I think most people who are, often playing into, like, Azir Lux, or, goddammit, Azir Lux, Azir Silco, would not hold on to these Shens, because, like, well, you normally want to play around a Juggernaut opener, or a Juggernaut frontline. You really don't want to be playing around Shen, ideally, but he plays around Shens, and now he's a Shen 2 frontline, and all of a sudden, the board's, like, basically stable. He even can fit in 3 Bilgewater using this this TF that he has in, along with the MF and what's his last Bilgewater, the Neela that he put in. Finds another Neela here, but just look at this. We're also Scuttle Puddle, which is really interesting because there's a lot of gold flying around. But, like, look at this board. What an interesting board. He's still got the Vel'Koz on the board for Swerk and Multicaster, slams GS and TG, and then also another Shojin here, I believe. One thing I've noted about Dishop's play recently is he is super, like, low prio on Shred here. Like, he could have made a static Shiv. I've seen him in spots like thinking about making Ionic and doesn't make it. Like, I think he has a very, very low prio on Tread. Though in this game, I guess it makes more sense because he has Heimerdinger. I think Gifts makes a ton of sense here. But yeah, like, even in other games when he gets them, like, obviously, like, Ionic is a good slam early if you have, like, 3 components and your only slam is Ionic. But, like, he doesn't prio it very highly, which is pretty interesting. Another crazy play here, he levels. He goes to 8 here to try to preserve his streak and just to get the Azir in. This is wild to me. I was actually really surprised about this because I feel like, like, you're kind of broke now. And if you miss, your game is going to be really, really difficult. But the upside is that, like, potentially this allows you to keep your streak, and you can get a ton of gold from that. However, he does end up losing this fight to the Scoped Weapons player, and he's probably, like, molding about it right now. Picks up Goldenator, though. That'll help him rebuild his economy. But yeah, like, what a cool board. Like, I know a lot of people have probably seen, like, a similar, like Azir plus MF, plus Neela, plus, like, 1, which is usually, plus 1 Bilgewater, which is usually, like, a the Nautilus here, but like all of these other units, I mean, this is just freestyle. This is just like he's playing the units that he hits. He found a frontline in Shen 2, Taric 2, which is not the frontline that you play with this board traditionally, but because he allowed himself to play to open his the possibilities of his mind to extend his horizons. Now he gets to play around this board, and his board's actually stable. He's 94 HP. If he had only rolled down and said, okay, I need a 0-2, he may have rolled a ton of gold and just completely missed, which is really, really wild. So yeah, like this is what I'm talking about, and you know, it continues to become more and more interesting from here. But like this is just beautiful. This is how TFT is meant to be played, and I think for the people out there who, you know, would have just said, okay, I'm gonna donkey roll down and try to find a 0-2, and then if you miss a 0, like GG's, like I think you're just missing so much of TFT if you play the game that way, and you're robbing yourself of the experience, you know, to actually play good TFT, and also you're robbing yourself of LP, because I think there are a ton of people who are going to do that and then say, oh, I missed, this patch is so bad, GG's, I'm gonna take the patch off, I'm gonna wait until next patch when things are actually balanced. But like if you play like this, like even if the patch is imbalanced, it just increases your win rates and your ability to top 4 by so much. Like look, he's holding Soraka here. Like what? He's gonna think about like potentially fitting in Soraka into this board. The other thing is that he's carrying this TF. You know, he's carrying this TF, and it's like end of stage 4. But because of the board, like because the rest of the board makes sense around it, because 3 Billshwater is good, like he's allowed to do this. Like it's so cool. Ends up selling this Soraka because he can make gold because of Goldinator. But yeah, like now you can potentially think about going like fast 9. Other, you know, like maybe he can roll more on 8 here, but like he's looking for like a 0-2 and stuff like that. I don't actually recall what he ends up doing here. I think if I'm in his spot, I would probably want to find like Neela 2 or a 0-2 before pushing levels. Like I would like to find like one more upgrade, I would think, before just like straight up going 9. Finds like a 0-2. And yeah, like this is probably okay. I guess the only downside items, oh, but he had the extra component, so yeah, he can make GG, and then he makes blue buff on MF, which looks really good. A bit sad that we have no items on this Azir now, but also like this is the idea of items scale with each other, so you want to actually put the JG on the Vel'Koz instead of the Azir, even though Azir is like a better unit than Vel'Koz. The other thing is that like Vel'Koz is actually benefiting from multicaster and Sork here, so it's always going to be like better to put the JG there. I think that's another thing that might like trip some people up. You know, like when I've coached people, oftentimes people want to like put the perfect item on the perfect unit, but it doesn't always work out that way. I think it's dropped a Silco here, so now he can like think about playing into Silco, but like how does he get it in? He is going to end up cutting the Neela and the Misfortune, and then just pivoting into this 4 Sork 2 strategist board. So yeah, he ends up getting 4 Sork in with the Swain and the Silco, which I think is so cool. Like, when have you seen this board played? Like, we've actually pivoted even further away from the traditional like Azir Silco board, and now he's playing around 4 Sork, which is something that a ton of people consider just to be bad. Like getting the Neela out there, saying, okay, we don't want to play around the Neela anymore. We're just going to play around this 4 Sork version because like we want to get 4 Sork in, because like we want to get Silco in. He does really well with the blue buff. We have a Swain too. He fits in with strategist, so we can just cut these units and play around 4 Sork. Like, I don't know, just like how cool is this game? Like, be real, guys. Like, how cool, how well played is this game? And like he's 94 HP stage 5 and win streaking. I'm pretty sure he said like when he was playing this game, is he was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. He's like, you know, I'm just like going with the flow, which I think just shows like the level of play of someone with this scope. Like, you know, when you're at this level, you can just sort of like freeze. You know, he's like, speaking of flow, like he's in that kind of like flow state where like everything's just sort of like lining up. You know, he doesn't even have to like think about it, but you know, he's getting the right synergies in, playing the right units, building the right items. Like, I don't know, it's some really pretty gameplay. What does he end up taking here? Actually, I saw the Archangels. He ends up going Protectors. Oh right, he goes Protector's Vow on Azir here, which he's like, it looks troll, but actually like trust. This Azir is going to become Jarvan, so he's like item holding for Jarvan with the Azir, which like actually makes like a lot of sense. So a pretty cool play there to Protectors the Azir, because if you Protectors Taric, then you're going to have to like remake Taric later, which kind of hurts. So I don't know, really interesting play there that like actually in hindsight makes a lot of sense. So kind of cool. But yeah, as you can see, we're still losing to people like Casper. Casper was like the Scope Weapons Mordekaiser player. Like Casper's high rolled this game for sure. But Dishdope, I would say, honestly, low rolled this game. It took him so long to hit Azir too. Obviously, he sort of like naturaled the 2 Azirs, but like he didn't even play around the Azir. Like I would say if he didn't low roll, he definitely like medium rolled this game. And if you were to try to play Azir Silco, like hard force it from this spot, I would say he low rolled a bit on his rolls on level 7 and level 8. So yeah, I don't know. I think this is a really cool game. But, we'll continue on seeing where he ends up placing. You can see just because of how well his early game went, he's just guaranteed top 4 at this point, and probably top 3, maybe top 2. Kasparov's board's so strong that he can probably kill the other 2 players, so it's really just Bishop needs to survive long enough so that he can get second, and then the question is, can he outcap Casper? You do see here, he has 5 Shens at this point, which is pretty crazy. Might actually potentially be able to go for a Shen 3. Is going to level here, finds another Shen, and now is just rolling down to try to find upgrades. Finds a GP2, which he's going to end up getting in, then gets the extra Shen, and finds another Shen, so now he's 7 Shens. And yeah, just GP2 on this board over Azir. He does end up losing Strategist, but I mean, GP2 is a GP2, and even makes the Protectors on the GP for the faster cast to get this boat going off with the Adaptive Helm as well. So yeah, fights this player who's another Scope Weapons, Bilgewater Abuser. But look at their HP, right? Like, this is the difference between someone like Dish Soap and that player. They're incredibly low because they played for like 1 line, basically. Also at this point, now that we have Silco too, we can move items over to him. He's going to put the Mana Zane on Rise. This is Vandal City Rise, so he's going to start summoning units from our bench. I don't like this song very much. I don't like this very much. It's not, I don't know, it's like killing my ears. But yeah, we're going to fight this person again, lose to them, but they are 10 HP, so all we have to do is hope that they end up fighting Casper at some point, and then, GG's. He finds an Ahri here, which does actually make like a lot of sense on this board. He has the Mana Zane, and already the 4th Sork. He just needs to find Karma. He does end up finding Karma. Also finds Atrox 2 here, which he can just get rid of the Scions, and he is still just 1 off of this Shen. Shojin's just gonna go on Silco, and it's just the super cast Silco here. Who are we fighting here? We're fighting Casper again. I think we're fighting the Ghost though, so the real one is fighting Handu, and as you can see, Handu dies there. We also end up actually, it looks like beating Casper's Ghost here, and we're 1 off Shen 3, so hopefully there's a Shen on Carousel. There is not. There's a Sork's Vat, but there's actually no one we can really put it on, so we find just an extra Ahri with Nashers, which is pretty solid, and just gonna roll here a bit to see if we can find Shen. He actually unmakes the Atrox, which is really, really smart. Like he doesn't, he needs to hit either this round or next round, and Atrox is really doing like nothing for his board. It's not even like Juggernaut because he doesn't have a Juggernaut in, so he's just like taking all that gold and gaining it back, which is really, really nice. As you can see though, like look how much this board holds up versus like a very, very strong RL board from Casper. Like just barely lose that fight. We roll down, try to find 1 Shen, open sell the Scion here, open sell, I don't know what that other unit that we just open sold there was. But sadly he rolls down everything and still for some reason, just unlucky I guess, cannot find the Shen 3. He does find Ahri 2, which is nice, but his board is a bit weaker now, just having to play 2 Shens. Even though he has Ahri 2, it's not good enough to beat Casper. He really needed Shen 3 to win this game, but still, I mean, a second from Dishop, I think this game was absolutely beautiful. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, check out my Twitch and all my other links down below. Thank you.